Power BI Lineage View Meetup. I'm happy to be here and to present to you this session. We will have a great session and talk. We have a great session, which in the end, I really hope that you will understand better what is Power BI Lineage View and how it can help with your daily task in Power BI. I will start with introducing myself. So my name is Asaf, and I'm a software engineering manager at Microsoft. I really love software development, and I'm happy to escort the Power BI Lineage View from day one as a developer and now as a manager. My team is part of a bigger group, which is called DIM, and we are responsible for many features inside Power BI, such as the sensitivity labels, the dataset sub, endorsements, and many more. Now, what we are going to talk about, we will start with a small, we will start with an introduction to understand why we need the lineage view and how to enable it. Just a second. We start with an introduction to understand why we need the lineage view and how to enable it. We will talk about the Power BI artifacts, about the visualization of Power BI artifacts, data source, and relations. We will continue to talk about impact analysis, lineage view uses. We will see a live demo of everything that we are going to talk about, and we will finish with questions and answers. So let's start. So I'm guessing that you are familiar with Power BI, and I hope that you are Power BI users. In general, Power BI is a collection of services and connector that can consume data from unrelated sources into a common schema in order to visualize it. From those visualization, we can get a lot of business insights in order to take the right business decision. Now, of course, we want also to share all those insights for multiple platforms. Now, this is the core functionality of Power BI, but today Power BI is a lot more of it, and it's a big SaaS service and contains many more features from what I just described, but this is just in general to understand what is Power BI. Now, Power BI defines different artifacts which helps us during our daily work. Each artifact has a different purpose alone and combined with other artifacts. Today we have four main artifacts, which is the dashboard, report, dataset, and Dataflow. And each users can manage a set of artifacts inside a workspace and also manage multiple workspaces inside Power BI service. Now, when we open Power BI service into the workspace view and look at the content of the workspace, we will probably see the image that we see now on the left side, which on the left side where all the artifacts are one after the other in a table view, table list view. The table list view is very useful and help us in many cases where even have a separation between the content artifacts and the data within the content artifact and the data artifacts. But there are still a lot of open questions that we want to answer them that we don't get from this view. For example, how the data flows, which dashboards exist on top of a reports, or which reports exist on the top of a dataset. Let's say I have outdated data in my reports. Which dataset I should refresh? We have a lot of datasets in the workspace. I need to select the right one. And all those questions and many more questions that related to the relations between the artifacts, we can't answer from this view. And for that, Power BI introduced data lineage, which contains the Power BI lineage view and impact analysis. Now, Power BI lineage view is a relational view of all the artifacts and data sources, all the artifacts and data sources and can give us a dependency graph, where each connected artifacts represents the connection between each two artifacts that are connected represents a relations that is between the two artifacts has, and it means that there is certain data passed between them. So from the list view that we see on the left side, where each artifact is one after the other, we can build a dependency graph, and only from this view we can get a lot of information from a single view. Only by looking at it, we can see who is dependent on what and how the data flows from the data sources into the data artifact, into a report, and into a dashboard. This view alone, only by looking at it, can give us a lot of information instead of a list view that has different purposes. Now, how to get started? It's very simple. Here we can see the workspace view inside Power BI service. On the top right corner, we have a view button. When we click on it, we can switch between the list view, which we are all familiar with, and the lineage view. That's it. Now, after we will click on the lineage view, we will see the lineage view visualization. Now, let's talk about what happens when we enter the lineage view. Now, instead of table rows that exist in the list view, each row will transform into a square card UI, which give us a lot more information and actions. So here in this image, we can see the dashboards, reports, dataset, and data flows in their new look. We can easily identify them, and if we will take a deeper dive, we can see here the artifact card. We can see the artifact card of a dataset, but it's very but this view is very similar to all artifacts, but we can take this as an example. On the left side, we can see the artifact colors. It really helps us to understand which artifact is it by looking at it. We have the icon, the display name, the endorsement and sensitivity label if it exists, some metadata. We can click on the artifact and open a side panel. We will see it in a minute. We have the actions menu to perform actions. And on the bottom right corner, we have some lineage actions which are really specific to the lineage view, such as the highlight button and the impact analysis. Now, we said that the lineage view give us additional layer of data. The additional layer is the data sources. The data source card is very similar to the artifact card as we can see here. We have the color, icon, display name, metadata, also have side panel, and also have lineage actions such as the highlight and impact analysis. Now we know how the artifacts will look. We can now build the dependency graph. So after we click on the lineage button, from the combo box that was open, we can see that the workspace view transformed into the lineage view, and we can identify the artifacts card that we just saw. We can identify the dashboards, the reports, the datasets, and data sources. We can see that each artifact is connected to the other if there is a relation between them. For example, we can see a dashboard connected to the relevant reports, and the report is connected to the relevant dataset, and so on. But if I want to focus on a single artifact, I can press the highlight button and just focus on the upstream lineage of a single artifact. In this example, I clicked on the highlight button of a dashboard, and we can see that the upstream lineage that is relevant only to this specific artifact is highlighted, where all the other artifacts are grayed out. So I can focus more on this view. And if we will look a little bit closer, we we can see that the highlight mode gives us also more information of usage metrics. We can see on each report and dashboard the amount of viewers and views, how many people view it and how many views exist for this artifact. We will see all of this also in our demo. Another interesting action is the site panel information. When we click on an artifact, in this case, I clicked on a dataset, the right side panel opened, and we can see a lot of interesting metadata, that can give us more information, such as refresh time, owner sensitivity labels, and the most important information is the tables and columns that assemble the datasets for this specific dataset. For each artifact, the site panel contains the relevant information.
Asaf, I see we have a question in the chat. We will leave time for question in the end of the session.
Yes. We will review all questions at the end. Let's continue with the impact analysis. The impact analysis, as I mentioned, is an action that is relevant to the datasets, is relevant for datasets and data sources, and can be triggered by the button on the bottom right corner of the artifact action, of the artifact card, sorry. When we click on the impact analysis button, a side panel will be open also on the right side, and it will contain all the impact analysis information. Now, this information is very useful because it contains all the artifacts that consume data from the selected artifact from all the workspaces in the organization. So in this example, in this image, we can see that I click on an impact analysis for a dataset, and I can see that 3 workspaces consume this dataset, and I can see also which artifacts consume it. I can see that I have 3 reports and 1 dataset that also consume the data from the selected dataset. And if I want to modify this dataset or to change it, or something is wrong, I can notify the workspace contacts. I can notify the workspace contacts by clicking on the notify contact button and send them an email with my message. For example, please be aware that this dataset is no longer valid, or we have refresh problems. Please be aware of all reports that exist on top of these datasets. The notify contact is an important feature that can give us the ability to communicate with the people that consume our datasets or our datasets or consume a data source. Now, what we saw now is we talked about the lineage, but what can we do with it? So first of all, it gives us an overall view of all the data dependency of the entire workspace, and for a specific artifact, if we highlight an artifact, it shows us all the data dependency inside the selected workspace, and more important, also from external workspace that has impact on the current workspace. For example, if I have a dataset if I have a report in my current workspace that consume data from a dataset from another workspace, I will see it in the lineage view, in contrast to the table list view. So the external workspace dependency is also very important to understand if I have a connection between workspaces. We can gain a lot of more information in a single view from the card and from the side panel and from the graph dependency. We can get a lot of information just by looking at the lineage view. We can troubleshoot refresh problem by just going upstream to the dataset or data flow and understand which artifacts has a refresh problem and just refresh it, or maybe contact the owner. But it can really show us, we can find very easily which artifacts are related to the artifact that I need to see now and take the right action. We can identify impact of a dataset or data source in a workspace, in multiple workspace, and I can identify the impact analysis of a dataset and data source for multiple workspaces, all workspaces in the organization. And I can also notify the workspace owner on any issue or update that I have for a specific dataset or maybe a problem or something like that. Okay, now let's see the lineage view. Okay. What we can see here, we see here the Power BI portal, and I just open a workspace. This is a workspace that I have for this session. We can see here the list view, we can see here the tabs, and this is the view button that I talked at the beginning, where in order which enable the lineage view. So I will click on the view button and see the two options, the list view which we see now, and the lineage view. I will click on the lineage. The lineage is loading, and we can see the artifacts, the same artifact of the workspace in the dependency graph shape. We can see that I can navigate between, I'm scrolling now the mouse and navigate between the different artifacts. I can zoom in and zoom out. I can search also for an artifact, let's say, okay, I can search for an artifact, I can search for an artifact or a string. I can understand, I can understand, I can see from first look groups of artifacts. For example, this, if you see the mouse, this is a set of artifacts that are related to one another, but has no relations to this set of artifacts. Let's take, for example, this dashboard that we saw in the presentation. We can see the color, the icon, the name. This is the action menu. I can perform the same action as the list view. We have the highlight button, and when I click on the highlight button, we see the upstream lineage is being highlighted and focused, where the other artifacts are being grayed out a little bit. And I can understand very easily why understand very easily the dependency. If we will take the finance report, for example, that I just highlighted, we can see that is connected to a data set that has a refresh problem because of the red triangle, which means that I need to refresh this data set in order to see the updated data from this data set on this report. Let's click on a data set. When I click on a data set, we see the side panel information. We can see the metadata as I described before, and the tables and columns. I can also open the side panel for a report and for a dashboard. I can press the impact analysis button, and the impact analysis show us that this dataset, the sales and returns, is used in 8 workspaces across my organization. It has 30 reports that uses this dataset data, and this is all the reports that uses it. And if I want to change it, I can notify the contacts and just send a mail. And I think that's it from. And I think that's it. But I think we just review everything that we just talked. But I really want you to understand that the lineage view is here to help you in scenarios that the list view can't help you. I mean, there are useful cases for a list view, but the lineage view can help you in a lot of scenarios and can give you easier life to understand refresh problem, relations, highlight, and a lot more information that maybe you need to go to other screen, you can get it from here. And that's it. Thank you. And now we will move to the questions. Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
What a great session, Asaf, I must say, before we get to the questions. We have questions from Oded. Did you see you see the chat, right?
No, just a second. From Oded. Is Lineage cover the pipeline? What do you mean, Oded? Is Lineage cover the pipeline? The feature pipelines? Do you mean the feature pipelines on the left? These feature pipelines, deployment pipelines?
My question is, you see the reactor you are in right now, you see the create pipeline. If you have a premium account, you're able to
This one?
generate 3 workspaces, QA, dev, and production, that Microsoft give it as an option. And my question is if the lineage cover the pipeline as well.
Yeah, it covered the workspace pipeline. The answer is yes.
Okay, so if I have a QA, dev, and production, the lineage will take in consideration.
Yeah, I mean, when you will open the workspace for the dev, when you open the specific workspace, you will see the view button and you can see the lineage. Maybe
So is the pipeline, the lineage is basically based on workspace. Whatever workspace you want to see the lineage. It doesn't give you a snapshot of overall all the workspaces.
No, the lineage view is specific for a workspace. It's not cross workspace lineage.
So it will cover the pipeline.
Yes. From the lineage aspect, pipeline workspace is just another workspace. We will show the lineage.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have another question?
I guess not.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we can finish the session. If we.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Asaf, and thanks everyone for joining us. It was such a great pleasure to have you here. And thank you so much. The recording will be available soon on our YouTube channel. And the link is in the chat. And thank you. Thank you so much, Asaf. It was great.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye. Have
Thank
a
you.
great day or evening or whatever your time zone is. Bye-bye.
Bye.